tractor died in the middle of the field, under the unforgiving noon sun, with dust still rising around its massive imported wheels, as if it had given its last breath in defiance. 15 mechanics had already tried and failed. Toolboxes lay open like abandoned hopes. Grease stains marked the soil, and every expert who walked away shook his head the same way. Slow, certain, final. The farmer stood alone beside the silent machine, his season, his savings, and his dignity trapped inside cold metal. This was the moment everyone would remember as the end, but it was only the beginning. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Midnight Tales, because stories like this deserve to be felt, not just heard. The farmer's name was Harun Malik, a man whose life was measured in harvests rather than years. He had saved for nearly a decade to import this tractor, believing it would finally free him from back-breaking labor and unpredictable yields. It arrived shining and powerful, a symbol of progress parked in the middle of his dusty farmland. For 2 seasons it worked like a dream, turning hard earth into promise. Then, one bright morning, with the sun climbing high and birds circling lazily above, the engine choked, screamed once, and went dead. No warning, no mercy. Word spread fast. Mechanics came from nearby towns and distant cities, each more confident than the last. They inspected, tested, argued with the machine, and argued with each other. Sensors, wiring, imported parts no one could source locally. Every attempt ended the same way. By late afternoon, 15 professionals had failed, leaving behind a trail of frustration and whispered conclusions. Some said the tractor was cursed by bad manufacturing. Others said it was simply too advanced for this land. Harun listened quietly, nodding, thanking each man as they left, even as his chest tightened with fear. Without the tractor, the planting window would close. Without planting, there would be no harvest. Without a harvest, everything he had built would collapse. As the day stretched on, shadows lengthened across the field, but the light remained strong and clear. This was not a night of despair. It was a day that demanded endurance. Harun sat on an overturned crate, staring at the machine that had betrayed him, when he noticed someone still standing nearby. An old man named Kareem Dostgir, thin as a fence post, sunburned and bent by years of labor, had been watching quietly all along. He was not one of the mechanics. He was known around the area as a scrap worker, a man who fixed broken tools no one else bothered with. Most people overlooked him. Some laughed at him. 15 trained experts hadn't even acknowledged his presence. Kareem stepped closer, moving slowly, respectfully, as if approaching a sleeping animal. He ran his hand along the tractor's side, not with confidence, but with familiarity. This was the touch of someone who had spent a lifetime listening to machines rather than commanding them. Harun barely noticed when the old man asked for permission to look. At that point, hope had become something too heavy to lift. The sun was still high when Kareem began. He didn't rush. He didn't use fancy tools. He observed. He listened. He closed his eyes and placed his palm against the engine casing, feeling vibrations that weren't there anymore, imagining the ones that should be. Dust clung to his clothes, sweat darkened his shirt, and flies buzzed lazily around them. But the field itself felt unusually still, as if waiting. Where the others saw complexity, Kareem saw history. He remembered older machines, simpler designs hidden beneath modern shells. He traced lines, loosened panels no one else had bothered to open, and followed a sound that existed only in his memory. Hours passed in daylight, not darkness. The sun drifted westward, casting golden light across the field, illuminating every movement of his trembling hands. Haroon watched from a distance, torn between pity and disbelief. This man was risking humiliation where trained professionals had already failed. And yet, something about Kareem's patience felt different. There was no arrogance in him, no need to prove anything. He worked as if the tractor's pain was his own. Then came the moment no one expected. Kareem straightened slowly, wiped his hands on a rag, and nodded once, not in triumph, but in quiet certainty. He adjusted a single component, something overlooked because it seemed too small to matter. He tightened it, stepped back, and gestured for Haroon to try. The key turned. The field held its breath. The engine coughed, sputtered, then roared to life with a deep, steady growl that rolled across the farmland like thunder. Birds scattered, dust lifted. The tractor lived. Haroon froze, unable to believe what his ears were telling him. Then emotion crashed over him all at once. Relief, gratitude, disbelief, and something deeper. Humility. The impossible had been done in broad daylight, not by force, but by understanding. Tears blurred his vision as he watched the machine idle smoothly, stronger than ever. Neighbors who had lingered at a distance stepped closer, stunned. The same mechanics who had failed heard the sound from the road and turned back, their faces unreadable. Kareem did not celebrate. He simply packed his rag, wiped his hands, and began to walk away, as if fixing miracles was part of his daily routine. Haroon stopped him, pressing payment into his hands, far greater than anyone had offered before. Kareem accepted only what he needed, leaving the rest behind. He said nothing, but his eyes reflected something rare: peace. As the sun dipped lower but the sky remained bright, Haroon climbed onto the tractor and drove it across the field, soil turning perfectly beneath its blades. The season was saved. More than that, a lesson was planted deeper than any seed. Wisdom does not always come dressed in credentials. Sometimes it arrives quietly, wearing years instead of titles. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that hope can come from unexpected places, please take a moment now to like, comment, and share this video. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. Special request: comment. Respect if you believe experience is more powerful than pride. Because some miracles don't happen in the dark. They happen in the open daylight, when we finally choose to see the value of those everyone else ignored.